Who is the greatest example of humility that you know? What is it about them that really stands out?
To live is Christ, to die is gain.
G'day everyone, Brian here. John Dickson is an Australian author, theologian, historian. In 2021 he released this book, Bullies and Saints. It's a book that explores the harsh reality that within the history of the Christian church we find those people who are really best described as bullies. They do not reflect Jesus well. They seek power and they seek authority, and they use the power and authority that they are given to seek their own benefit rather than the benefit of others. But in the same book and within the same churches, he can write about people who are saints, those who are everything we would expect to find in a follower of Jesus. They are kind, they are gracious, they are humble. Humility might be a word that is familiar to us, but for the people of Paul's time, when he was writing this letter to the Philippian church, it was an unusual word. John Dickson's even gone so far as to write a whole book on humility to show that it is in the Christian church, the teachings of Jesus, that humility began to gain ground as a value worth having. Until then, it was seen as just pure weakness. Jesus changed that. The church has changed that, and Paul has helped to change that. When he says to his Philippian friends, your attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus. Other translations say, you should have the mind of Christ. Now again, here is a verse that we could take on its own, put on a plaque and stick it on the wall and find it inspiring for us. Our attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus. But what does that mean? And why does Paul use that here? Well, he is talking about humility. He's urged his Philippian friends to stand firm together, contending as one man in one spirit for the faith of the gospel. He's urged them to find more unity in themselves. He's urged them to consider others more than they consider themselves. And remember, he's writing to a group of people, not just to a person. So when he says you and yourself, it's not to you, but to the church who are reading this. And then he comes to the prime example of humility, Jesus. Jesus. Next week, we will look at what that means and how he unpacks that in one of the greatest statements you could ever hope to find about Jesus and about humility. And it's appropriate that we do that as we come into the Christmas season. Have a great weekend, everyone. Get those Christmas trees up if you haven't yet. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.